Okay, who here is looking after advertising as part of their day job? Quick show of hands, really high. Okay, and of you, who's looking after Google Ads accounts right now? So you're in the thick of the Google Ads accounts. Who is not engaged in a Google Ads account, never has been, never will be? Okay, a few of you. Okay, so very mixed audience. So some of you are really into Google Ads, some of you maybe not so much. So that's good to know. Thanks for that. So I just wanted to start off with who I am. Also based over in Dublin at the Google European HQ. I just wanted to give a quick introduction. I work on the agency team, so I'm very happy to be here with Return. But the UK has a lot of very, very good agencies, so it's a great team to be working on. I've been working on that team for about 8 years now. I was born in London, but I grew up in Ireland. I enjoy cycling, cooking, and to be honest, this is a really generic introduction slide. It should be a really interesting question. Who am I? Think about that. So the first place I turned was my employer, and I asked who I was. I got some self-help articles, and it wasn't very helpful at all, actually. So I thought it might be more interesting to go into the Google ad settings. Has anyone been here and seen their ad personalization settings? Anyone ever looked? Has anyone been followed by an ad and thought that was really relevant to something they just looked at? Yeah? Okay, so you can turn it on and off, just in case it freaks you out any. Mine is switched on, so I decided that I would automate the introduction and just let my employer do it.
Finn is interested in current affairs, news and cycling. He is a recent homeowner and has started looking for flooring and shelving. Finn must be decorating. I predict with a high degree of certainty he'll be in market to purchase furniture within a month. He also listens to Latin music. Finn doesn't like Latin music but is married to a Latino, so he has no choice in the matter. His guilty pleasure is romantic comedies.
Who doesn't like Bridget Jones's Diary? That's so spot on, and I hadn't looked at it in ages. I looked at it just before this presentation to see what was relevant. So it really does know, what's happening in my life just based on my browser behavior. So we have a huge amount of information about our users. This is my dog Belle. I'll explain why she's in it later on. So the future of Google Ads is machine learning. I wanted to talk to you a bit about machine learning and what that means. It all starts with the user. We know so much about our users, as I've just demonstrated, and we can tap into that and all those intent-rich moments to offer your businesses an opportunity to contact them when they're ready to hear from you. So as Chris said earlier, users you only have their attention for 3 seconds. I think goldfish. So the ad really needs to be hyper-relevant, and the only way we can make the ad relevant is if we know what they're interested in. So we can surface an ad for flooring if we know they've just bought a house or something like that. So mobile, it starts with mobile because mobile changed the way consumers behave, and we've never been so connected and so hungry for information before. Consumers are more curious, and they're more demanding, and they're more impatient than ever before. And what does this mean? Curiosity. People are looking for things like best travel accessories, best umbrellas. An umbrella is an umbrella, right? But people seem to think that they need the best towel. Best doorbells. So people are really, really curious, I mean it, and more demanding as well. So they expect the coffee cup experience, the personalization you get in the likes of Starbucks. Consumers are open to suggestion. They expect brands now to know them and to know what they're interested in and to deliver something that's relevant to them at the moment they want it. And what's really interesting is we conducted a study across some beauty and cosmetics verticals, and we saw that consumers really desire inspiration and guidance, and that the vast majority of them actually don't know what they want, and only some of them do. So they're always open to suggestion from advertisers, and this is not just, this is across the entire home and personal care categories. So consumers' need-based searches reflect that they really don't know what they want. They are open to suggestion. So tap into the data that we have, and you'll be able to speak to that need and suggest to users. And they're impatient. So we have queries now such as open now and same day shipping, and year on year they have increased 185% and 145%. These are US figures, but the UK and Japan are two markets that are always very closely behind the US in terms of user behaviours and expectations. So this is remarkable. Same day shipping is just, it's on people's minds way more this year than last. Local searches without near me have now outgrown, because people don't put near me in anymore, because they just know that the device has location switched on and that they're expecting the suggestions that come up to be relevant to their location. So why put near me in at all? And then you have best paper towels and best doorbells. Like I said, people are so curious, and the information they have access to is unlike any time before. And so just to move away from consumer behavior and into what's happening in the tech space. So machine learning, as I said, is the trend that's carving out the future of Google Ads. So when we think about innovations such as, I don't know, the quartz watch instead of the wind-up, now you don't have to wind up your watch, and you wouldn't expect to wind up a watch. People just move with tech innovations, and this is shaping the way people interact online as well. So instead of getting to know your customer, you need to get to know each of your customers, rather than this notional sort of persona that you might have 2 or 3 of for your business. You're now actually speaking to every individual at the moment that they need you. The problem with that is it generates far too much information for a single human being to be able to compute or adjust to in real time, which is why we need machine learning, and we need to hand over to the bots to actually figure out, okay, if Finn has a house that he's building, he needs shelving, whereas Jennifer actually is more interested in getting the dog groomed this week. It's going to be different for each person. That's so much information, especially when you're dealing with millions and millions of users. So just to step back a moment, and I'm going to read this because it's quite important. Machine learning, it's an approach to making decisions. It involves algorithmically finding patterns in data and then using the information to react. So the best a way to explain that simply is it's a different way of doing things. So you can write explicit rules. So if an email contains "you want a cruise," mark as spam. If it contains "urgent," then mark as important. This is very simple. But then you can actually get a computer program to learn from these examples. To simplify that even more, think of Battleship. Has everyone here played Battleship? Quick show of hands. Yeah, okay, great. So you're familiar with this. You try, you iterate, you fail. Then when you hit on one, great, you change your approach. You're going to start moving a little closer to where you've hit your opponent's ship, and then you win the game by trial and error and learning each time. So we tried this with Atari, a game by Atari from 1976. We applied Google's DeepMind to this game. And in the first 10 minutes, the machine didn't quite know what to do with this or how to win. But then it started to, after 120 minutes, to get it completely right. It had learned how to do this flawlessly, but it was still realizing, actually, it's taking too long. And after 240 minutes, it realized that if you burrow through and do it this way, you'll actually be a bit more successful. So this is just applying a program like DeepMind to a game that from 1976, just to demonstrate. But it's in your day-to-day already. So many of our technologies that we offer consumers already has machine learning built in, from the fun stuff to just helping you out in the world. So back to my dog, Belle, all I had to do was go into the Google Photos app, and I was able to type the word dogs, or even if you type hugs for some reason, it's very American, but if you put that in, it'll also surface cute, cuddly pictures of your dog. And this is because the system's able to figure out, based on machine learning, what your pictures are actually of. Has anyone tried this feature in Gmail already? Has it made your life a little easier? Yeah, so basically it's just suggesting sentences, words, or sign-offs as you're composing a message on your mobile device. It also suggests where to park you so that you can save time. And Google Street View, this is one I really like. There are 23 billion words on Wikipedia, but in Street View, there are 40 billion lines of text. And we captured all of this imagery before we had the machine learning capabilities to process it. So what that meant was when we had the machine learning capability to process all the images that we captured from every street around the world, we were able to capture and import 40 billion lines of text and use it to update our maps, which is why Maps is as accurate as it is. You couldn't possibly have a human being do all that. So this is the power of machine learning, and it's really, really affecting how we're approaching creating products for our users. There's never been a better time for machine learning because of the increase in computer power, but also the abundance of data. So as I said, we've got so much information on every user that is unique to them. And we have neural networks, so we've got so many connected devices. I bet everyone in here has at least 2. And all of that information and being able to layer them up and spot patterns is how we're able to tap into this. So it really is a great time for machine learning right now. I wanted to give you an example to finish off, and that was to talk through creative, because using the right message is so important. So we have something called Smart Creatives, which is where you provide assets in Google Ads. So you're writing out different lines of the text ad that you'd get in Google search results. Lots of different possibilities, but let the machine build the ad for you for that user, because the machine knows what the user is interested in. 75% of advertising impact is determined by the creative quality. So again, it's back to that goldfish stat that Chris had earlier. People really have a very low attention span. And it's true for search as well as Facebook. So I wanted to give an example of 3 different customers looking to book a hotel. So Diana is booking a company retreat. That's her intent. You know that because I've told you. But the system has only had the input best hotel in London. We don't know that she's a corporate and that she has specific needs. She wants free Wi-Fi, conference rooms and group discounts. Charlie, best hotel in London. Again, same query exactly, but he's booking a family vacation and his needs are very different. And we have Sally who's booking a couple's weekend, best hotel in London, the exact same search query. Again, intention entirely different. So how does Rebecca here surface an ad that is relevant to each of those individuals? It's impossible. She can't generate thousands of different ad text variations for one campaign, for one hotel's campaign. For all we know, Rebecca's handling 10 other accounts and she's got a dozen QBRs and meetings to go to, or a talk like this one, or maybe she hasn't had time for lunch yet today. Like, she can't possibly do this. So what Rebecca really needs is a machine that's able to build ads based on the assets that she's provided the machine. So Smart Creatives help people like Rebecca to deliver the right message to the right user based on the context that we already know about. And how do we serve them the right message? How do we know that context? How did the machine know so much about me? It knows who I am, it knows where I am, and it knows what I want based on where I've been, what inputs I've had, what websites I've visited, my search history, etc. And it's connected to YouTube, it's connected to Google, to Chrome, to the Play Store, to Drive and Docs. We have 9 properties at the moment with over 1 billion users using them at any moment globally. So it's a huge reach. So when they visit a site, they become scored for a level of intent. So if I visited, let me see, Curry's PC World today and I've searched for a laptop, that might mean nothing. But if I do it again 2 more times this week and my search query becomes more pointed, for example, I'm looking for a MacBook Pro, that's starting to indicate to the system I really am very in market for this because I've conducted 3 searches. And we know that about 10,000 other times that week in Dublin, users have done the very same thing and ended up purchasing. So suddenly I'm scored very highly for my intent to purchase a MacBook Pro because my behaviour matches other individuals who've exhibited just the same. And so the machine learns and creates an ad for me that's going to bring me closer to conversion, and importantly, tells the system to bid up for me right at that moment because I'm more valuable than someone who is not in market. And the thing that's really amazing about this is that it happens for every user at the impression level, the very moment that you search the query, in a split second actually. And this is computed and refreshed in real time constantly, so we're able to update this all the time. So just to conclude, this type of automation and handing it over to the machine, these sorts of capabilities, will enable you and your agency to think more strategically about advanced optimization of your ads account. It'll give you more time to grab a sandwich. It'll also help you spend more time educating yourself and thinking about other priorities for your business, which might be, for example, I've just included web development, but there could be dozens of other things that you could be doing that would be more important to you than creating 1,000 ads to try to capture the right user. So I've talked about smart creatives in particular. I could have talked about YouTube, I could have talked about smart bidding or various other offerings we have, but I wanted to give you one example that gave you a very clear idea of what this is that we're offering to you. And of course, it isn't just about ads, it's also making your life a little easier, even if that means surfacing images without having to meta tag every single image. So that's it, thank you.